Good morning, everyone. Just a test, can everybody who's online on the Zoom link, can you hear me?
Yes,
Anyone can say yes.
yes.
Thank you very much. Who was it that said yes?
Jackie Figueroa.
Well, hello, Jackie Figueroa. I am so
Hi.
sorry you're not here with me today. So we're here at Truman College for our executive director, program director meeting. Want to make sure that everybody is able to hear me in the room. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, and they can hear me online, so I think we're doing okay this morning. Can you hear me in the back? A little bit, so the folks in the back are having a problem. Is that better? All right, just trying to get technology together. Want everybody to hear me. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our meeting. First, thanks to each and every one of you for being here in the room and to everybody who's on our Zoom link this morning. As you know, we do these meetings once a month, and it is our opportunity to be in front of you now personally, and also on Zoom. And just so everybody on the Zoom link understands, what we're looking for June is all in person with no Zoom link. So there's a heads up for everybody that we're going to move forward to all in-person meetings. We're past our health emergency. And for anybody who doesn't know who I am, I apologize. I'm Sarathel Burgess Burnett, Deputy Commissioner, Children's Services Division, Department of Family and Sports Services. But we are going to move forward and do all in-person meetings so that we can do some of the work that we want to do together in groups. It's really hard to do some of the things that we want to do when we've got half in one and half in the other. So we are going to move forward and start having everybody in the room, and we'll be looking for locations around the city of Chicago. We do move the meetings. For those of you who are new to this work with us, we move the meetings around Chicago so that when we're in different communities, everybody doesn't have to travel as far every time. So we try to make it equitable. Can't say we make it perfect, but we do try to make it equitable. Before we get started, I do want to announce a winner from our last EDPD meeting. We did have a raffle. And so if Maria Reyes from A Carousel is here, then we do have your basket up front. Just see Sheree. She's right there waiting on you. And so she won the raffle. Lakeshore provided a really nice basket, and we raffled it off. And so we do have the winner in the room. It's so funny because we put things out on our CSD update and she missed that she was the winner. And so when she was informed, she was just extremely excited. And we hope she'll be just as excited when she goes through her basket and see all the goodies that Lakeshore actually contributed to us. So we're going to go ahead and move forward in our slides. I'm going to do my updates, and then we have staff members who are going to, of course, come up. We also have a presentation from, I believe it's LedCare. They'll be here with us a little bit later this morning as well. And so again, I'm going to do just a quick introduction of who I am, but I've already said who I am. I've got a large group of Children's Services Division staff. I'd ask all of you to stand up. I know you're in the room, just stand up at your seats and everybody can see Children's Services Division. We don't have time to go through everybody's name, but they're here in support of you. So if you're looking for people on your teams, they're in the room. Sheree is here. She's the manager of program operations and quality, and William is over quality. Craig, of course, is over data. So you got a question about data. Craig Zemke's back there. There's the quality team. There's, you know, some of them standing over here, and then we got program admin. Some of them are back there, but we're here in support of you. So if you have a question today, please don't hesitate to grab one of us and let us know what's on your mind and what your needs are. Thanks, team. You can have a seat, go back and enjoy your coffee. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my updates. And so we had just a little bit a while ago, just a couple of weeks ago, we had our Health and Safety Summit at McCormick Place. How many of you in the room were able to be there with us? Great, great. And so what we were wanting to do was get up close and personal with you and talk to you about the safety of all of our children. And so the underscore for that Health and Safety Summit was to say to everyone that we want every child to be safe in everybody's care every day. We know that there are incidents that occur, but we also know accidents happen. But when incidents occur, such as child harm, maltreatment, those kinds of things, it just raises the bar for us in our work. Because what that says to us is we really need to hone in and figure out what is it that we need to be doing. One of those things we understand is we're doing our work in the midst of a health emergency, COVID. We know that we're on the other side of that to a certain degree, but COVID is still with us. But what we also know is we went into a mental health crisis in America as a result of COVID. Those individuals who are in your classrooms, those individuals who work for you, lived and breathed a mental health crisis. Some of them have had some horrible things happen to them personally. You add on top of that, we are in the city of Chicago, and what's happening in our city is not foreign in other cities across the nation or across the world for that matter. But when you think about living in a community of violence as a young child or a young mother, and you're doing everything that you can to keep your family safe, what you want to know is when they put their child in your care, that they are safe. And so we had our Health and Safety Summit. We were there for 2 days. Region 5, our region specialist, Kathy Gray, was with us for a day and a half. We had the training and technical assistance team that was there with us to make sure that we sent a message loud and clear about every child needs to be safe every day. We will be working with you. That was not a one and done. We are going to have a second Health and Safety Summit, and we're going to do what we're calling Health and Safety 2.0. And we've heard your voice for those of you who are home visitors, because we talked a lot about center-based care, but we also need to do some similar work with home visitors. They're traversing the city of Chicago. They're getting into their vehicles, they're getting out of their vehicles, and they're working and walking into the community, knocking on doors, and are upfront and personal right there where crimes are happening. And we need to talk about that because we need to be keeping them safe, and we need to make sure that we've got strategies to help them to make sure that they can maintain and sustain. They're seeing some things that some of you wouldn't even understand in working directly with parents and going into their homes. We know one thing with home visiting, many times that home visiting is one of those systems that will then feed directly into your center-based care. Many of those parents after home visiting choose to be in center-based care. That's if we've done our work right. Develop trust, make sure that they understand the development of their children, and make sure that they understand that we're wrapping our arms around their entire families. Then they stay with us, and that's what we want to have happen. We want them with us because we know on the other side of your work, what you do every day is children are showing up ready for kindergarten. Without going into all of the data, I will tell you, last year when we were looking at our data for children who left us, who transitions off to kindergarten, we had over 85, almost 87% of our children ready for kindergarten. That wasn't my work. That was your work. Give yourselves a hand. Because what that says is what we're doing is working in Chicago, people. And that's what we need to continue to dedicate ourselves to, is making sure that children are safe, healthy, and kindergarten ready. Can we agree on that? And again, this is not just about what's happening in centers, meaning that the children are coming in the door. Because one of the things that I say to everybody, those that are walking in your door and enrolling their children are those that are already successful because they found their way to you. What we need to be concerned about are the most isolated families in our communities and finding ways to get them into our programs as well. And so that's some of the work we're going to be doing. How many of you are fully enrolled? Raise your hand. Woo! How many, and I had in the room about 4 hands that went up on the Zoom, about how many of you are fully enrolled? Just yell out. Let me hear you. What does that say to us? We have work to do, people. There are eligible children in Chicago that are not enrolled in our programs, and we are trying our best to get to the bottom of the why. And I know for some parents, because of everything going on in and around their communities, they're still nervous. We're going to do everything we can to work with you to make sure that we can get beyond whatever that is, so that parents, again, begin to feel trust, come back out, let you wrap your arms around them so that their children are in care, so that they can be those children that we talk about, our successes of kindergarten ready. So we've got some work to do. So when we're thinking about the Health and Safety Summit, the question was, are our children sleeping at night? That's a question I think every one of us, I know I grapple with it, and it keeps me up at night. One of the things that I have to do, which is maybe a little bit different in some of your work, I listen to the news, not because I want to. I'd love never to have to listen to it, because all it does is upsets me over everything that's going on. But I have to listen to it because my responsibility in the city of Chicago is to hear when I hear that there's something that happens with a child 6 and under. I have a responsibility to try to find out, are any of those children enrolled in any of our programs? And then we're responsible for letting the regional office know that. I've had to say yes to that more times than I want to, that there were children enrolled in our programs that were harmed and killed due to violence, very young children and babies. That's our reality, and I get that. So we want to work with you, because I know some of you are struggling with safety, or what you're feeling safe in your environments where your centers are. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what we might need to do so that you feel safe, your staff feel safe, and families feel safe. That's the work of Department of Family and Support Services, Children's Services Division. I know it's to come in and do visits in your classroom observations, monitoring visits. Yeah, that's a part of our work, but the big part of our work is our partnership with you to make sure that you're able to do everything that you need to do within your environment so that you can offer the programs. And if that's an issue of safety, please let us know. Let's work together to see what we might be able to do for you and your centers, because again, we recognize where we are, and we want to make sure every day that you're able to open safely. Are we in agreement on that? All right. So how many of you have PFA or PI? Raise your hands. So you're getting a COLA. Have you ever gotten a COLA in your program before? No. So it's a first. This is the first time that the state block grant has offered a COLA. How many people in here know what the percentage is? How much? How much? Were you expecting 10%? They said no, Sheree, they weren't expecting 10%. Yeah. What the state wanted was the majority of the dollars to go out to you, but they also wanted to be COLA. So I want everybody to recognize the reason that I am fighting for it here in Chicago, and I think many of you know me or have known me long enough. It really is about getting salaries for people who deserve it, right? Your people work hard every day. You work hard every day, and people are not being paid their worth. And every time we can do something about that, guess what? We need to. When we are looking at staff and saying, go back to school, get a professional educator license and get paid. What? Any of you suffering through staff shortages? That's part of it. It's not the only reason. Salary is not the only reason, because one of the things we know in our area of work, people are committed to young children. And they will work and they will stay for many years receiving salaries well below what they deserve. But it is time for us all to grab the bullet and do everything that we can to try to raise salaries. So I'm talking about it here to say this to all of you, because I did get one person and I don't know exactly who it was because I don't remember. This is not about what's written in the sales manual. I am not asking you to get to the salary in the sales manual. Are we clear on that? This is not just to get there and go, they're at 45,000, 47,000. We should be good. No, you know why not? Because you are in a school district where salaries are well above that. And so our goal is trying to get salaries commensurate with CPS. So as you are doing your COLA, we need to see COLA applied. We need to see that you're increasing salaries, but we also need to see where that 10% takes us, so that we continue to fight the battle to increase salaries so teachers and staff can get what they deserve. We can't keep pushing for higher credentials if we can't push for higher salaries. Do we agree on that? So you're getting 10%. There's information that went out, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later in the presentation. I'm going to partner with our fiscal team to talk about it. But one of the things I want you to understand is I need to keep my hand off the monitor because it just flips. Okay. One of the things I want you to understand is COLA is mandatory. It is not optional. You have to apply COLA to the salaries of your staff. We have to be able to see that. And so, no, we can't say I'm going to put dollars somewhere else and not do COLA. After you've applied COLA, we can look at what you've done and then say in your program operations, now you can apply the remaining, but you can't start there. You have to first start with what it says is COLA, right? How many of you are federally funded? And you also got a what? A COLA, and it's 5.6, right? Yeah, 2 point something last year. So you're up almost at 8% COLA in 2 years. Is that normal? Absolutely not. And so the federal government is trying to do the exact same thing. It's trying to inch up and get salaries where they need to be, because we recognize our cost of living in America has done what? Skyrocketed. I wouldn't even say gone up. I can't even afford eggs. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I stood in line and I said, you know what? I want them, but I don't know if I want them that bad. Maybe I need to go buy a chicken and raise my own. I don't know what to do anymore. But our families that we serve are struggling, and your staff are no different than the families that you serve in struggling to make it out here in this community, right? And so we need to do everything we can. And so if you're cross-allocating, you got some work to do to figure out between those two, but we definitely have to make sure that COLA is attached. Are there any questions about COLA from anybody? Anybody want to ask me before I move forward with one other thing and then start turning the mic over to other people? Yes, hand up in the back. Yes. If I'm sorry, I am such a bad person to have a mic, and then my personality shows up when I have one. Because what I was about to say to you, if you got it like that. So I am. Her question was, can she go ahead right now and initiate her federal COLA along with her state? I will tell you that, let me get back to my office, because I am still working with our federal office to get that last line approved on our COLA. I don't think we're going to have an issue with it, but because I don't have a final approval, give me just another minute. Let me make sure. And then I tell anybody, if you can do your budget once, do it. When you can think it through, I would tell anybody who has the ability to do that to go ahead. But let's look at it one more time and make sure that it's finally approved with no issue, so that you can move forward with it. Okay. Anyone else? Any questions from anybody? Anyone online have any questions? I'm going to look to see if I see any hands up. Anybody?
I do. Can you hear me?
I sure can. Go ahead.
So the 10%, that's going to be a steady increase, right? It's going to be going forward. We won't go down to our original budget next year in order for us to accommodate the increase in staff salaries.
What has happened is it is an increase to our state budget. It is an increase to the budget that we have at DFSS, which will go forward. Yes.
Okay. Thank
Anyone
you.
else? You're very welcome. Anyone else have questions, either online or in the room? So one thing at the bottom of this, and it went out or going out in the CSD update, again, focus on child incidents. They're happening statewide, nationally, and definitely in Region 5. Region 5 has a huge number of incidents that have occurred. And that was one of the reasons why they dedicated their time to being with us when we did our Health and Safety Summit. And so what you've received through our CSD update is, and it doesn't matter if you're federally funded or ECBG, you can sign on. It is a webinar, and it's with a focus on human resources. One of the things we all need to be thinking about is, what are we having in our human resource policy and our systems that's really helping us get ahead of child incidents? What's our onboarding process? What's in our personnel policies and procedures? What do our staff understand about our personnel policies and procedures? Like I said at the Health and Safety Summit, if you wrote it and I started working for you in 2012, and you come back to me in 2023 and say on page 72, I'm going to look at you glaring at you like, what are you talking about? Because I probably haven't read it since 2012, or I didn't read it in 2012, but I signed it because that's what you put in front of me in order for me to start work. And now you want to point to a page. You need to be going over your policies and procedures with your staff, maybe twice a year, to make sure that they understand everything that they are required to do, what's mandated by you, what your procedures are in case there's any infractions in your policies, so that they're aware of it. But I also ask you to start working with your board. Make sure your board understands what's in your policy. So if you have to do something, they're on board with you. Because sometimes they are so far removed from it. You come into your board and say, this is what I want to do with this staff. And they're looking at you glaring going, why? You know, you're already having problems getting staff and you want to do what? And so having to try to get them on board sometimes is an after effect. What you need to do is make sure that they understand what's in your personnel policies and procedures and how you are working with your staff on the ground, and how much of that they understand really will support you if you have to do anything, if anything occurs at your organization. But after the Health and Safety Summit, May 1 and 2, there's not going to be any other incidents in Chicago, correct? All right, because what we said was we want to get to 0. Thank you. Yes, there is someone to contact offline regarding COLA, me. Start with Saratho and let me then filter your question to the right people. Just so I can remind you all, I'm down staff. So I'm the deputy commissioner, yes, but I'm also now the manager of program admin, under which all of your budgets are coming in and going out of. So I know all of you think about me all the time, please. And so imagine my 4 SSCs who are under me, because there's no manager, there's no assistant director, and there's no supervisor. So there's me, and there are 4 of them. How many budgets do you think we actually push through on any given time? About 400. And imagine a COLA for PFAPI and a COLA for Head Start or federal. Imagine the number of budgets we're going to be pushing through. And so what I'm saying all that to say to you is a little patience, people, just a little patience. The budget lines increase by 10% with the goal of you're looking at your salaries and making sure that you increase your salaries by 10%. Any other questions? All right, we're going to move forward in our agenda, and I am going to invite to the mic Sheree Johnson.
I was just kidding. Right. Give it up for our deputy. I really didn't need a hand clap, everyone, but good morning. How's everyone doing? I just wanted to piggyback off of what Saratho just mentioned as it relates to incidents. So since our Health and Safety Summit, you guys were listening, because what I've seen is an uptick in the number of emails that I have been CC'd on in reference to incidents. So some will say like, man, your incidents have really increased. I don't think that it's increased. I think that you guys are now putting us more in the know regarding your incidents. So I'll give yourselves a hand clap. I don't want to applaud incidents, but I want to applaud your communication efforts. So can we clap for that, please? So again, as it relates to incidents, we want to make sure that we're supporting you guys with your incidents. So we have some incidents that are true accidents. We know children get hurt. We know children trip and fall. We know things happen that are truly accidents. And then we also know that there are some incidents that we can kind of like frown upon, like, wait a minute now, something's going on. In either instance, be it an accident or an incident, we want to make sure that we're there to support you guys. For those of you who have been communicating with us more frequently over time, you know, Now you're reporting incidents to us and you have all the boxes checked. You're telling us everything we need to know. It happened on Tuesday with Jimmy. Jimmy was on the playground. He was into it. We talked to mom and well, okay, so we see that. So I just want to again applaud you guys for, communicating with us, keeping us in the know regarding your incidents. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to either reach out to me or to your designated team lead. You have something you want to say?
The only thing I was going to say, you said it already, that what we're getting, most of what we're seeing are accidents, but we still need those sent to us because we have accidents where children have actually had to go and seek medical care by ambulance to a hospital. Those things are still reportable, and we still need to know all of that because again, our regional office wants to know even when things like that is occurring.
So what Sarethel just mentioned, for those of you on the Zoom, is that we even want to know about those accidents that lead to hospitalization, an ambulance being called, medical attention being given at your sites. Please continue to communicate those issues and those things to us, okay? Also, as an announcement, so you know that we have had two team lead supervisors on our operations team. We have Jacinta Passament, who is over one half of our operations team. And then we had Nicole Randolph over the other half. Nicole is no longer with Children's Services Division. She's moved on and received a promotion, which is great. I'm sad, but she moved on and received a promotion. So those of you who were reporting or have your agencies report to Nicole and her team, from here on out until we find a replacement for her, you will then send any communications to Elaine Millsap Parker and to myself. Elaine is out of the office right now, so you're going to see her email signature saying, send it to me. So I just wanted to put that announcement out there as well. Okay, back to the agenda. All right, so here we are. So again, my name is Sheree Johnson. I'm the Manager of Program Operations and Quality with Children's Service Division. And we just want to remind you guys that your recruitment plans were due on the 15th of May. So if you have not yet submitted your recruitment plan to your designated program monitor on your team, your support service coordinator, please do so. Again, we try to support you guys through your recruitment efforts. We have some additional support through our support service vendor, Claridine. Ken McGee is here. If you have any questions for him, wave your hand, Ken. Hey. So, we try to work with you guys to not only, a lot of folks have developed recruitment plans and they just sit like, well, we have a plan. There it is, it's over there, but you're not looking at it. How often should you be recruiting? Does recruitment have a certain window? Yes or no? Should we be recruiting year round? Is recruitment just your responsibility as leadership? Your staff should also be recruiting, yes? Who else should be recruiting? Everybody, give me another person. Who should be doing that? Parents, yes. Who else do you have that could potentially recruit for you? Partners, your neighbors. There's a corner store right across the street from you. Mr. Hamilton, I just made that up. I don't know. Mr. Hamilton is at the corner store across the way. He is your partner. Why? Because he is your neighbor. Go get to know your neighbors. Hey, Mr. Hamilton, can I put my flyer in your store? Hey, Miss Librarian, can I put my flyer on your board? Things of that nature, okay? So just keep that in mind. And that's the whole point of premise for us to revisit your recruitment plans so that we can support you. And for those of you who have full enrollment, hooray, that's excellent. Those of us who are still striving for full enrollment, we need that additional recruitment support. Even if you have that full enrollment, children can fluctuate in and out, correct? So we need to ensure that we're staying on top of our recruitment plans. Any questions on that? Yes.
So I feel like our recruitment plans kind of thing that we add new things to it. So would that mean that we would need to submit them every time there's a change, or?
I would encourage you. So her question was, which is a great question, and I encourage all programs to do this. She said that their recruitment plan often changes because they make tweaks to it all the time. Do they need to submit it every time that there's a change? I would encourage you to communicate with your designated team lead or your support service coordinator to walk you through if we need a copy of an updated copy or not. Because some tweaks would just be a minor edit, like, oh, I put shim instead of she or something like that. We probably may not need that, but depending on the extent of it, we may need a copy. Okay, great question. Any other questions regarding recruitment plans? All right, moving on. Look, just skip it.
I'm sorry. I do have
go
a
ahead.
quick question about recruitment plans.
Yes.
I did submit a recruitment plan, but I was asked for something else as a additional attachment. What else is needed to be submitted with the recruitment plan?
So when you were asked for something else, who requested that something else? Was it from your team lead supervisor? Was it from the support service coordinator? Who did it come from?
I think it was the maybe the team lead. I'm not sure
Okay.
whoever.
So I would say revisit the message that they sent you because they may have given you the specifics as to what was needed. If it does not say that, then I would encourage you to reach back out to that team lead. Because we should be very specific in terms of what's needed if anything was missing in regards to your recruitment plan.
Okay, so in general, though, when we submit recruitment plans, should we be submitting our weekly actual recruitment logs as well, or do you guys really just need the plan for now?
The plan is our start and our base because each agency's recruitment plan may be a little different.
Mhm.
So, I can't give you a concrete, like you must have 27 pages and page
Okay.
77 should have a map. No, I
Mhm.
can't say for sure. But at bare minimum, we would need your recruitment plan. So that once we take a look at it, we may need some additional information. It just really is dependent on each individual agency.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Say that one more time. Recruitment banners and flyers, when will they be ready? June. We're anticipating them for June. Thank you, Jackie. Are there any other questions regarding recruitment plans? Yes, ma'am. Sure. We can send that out. And actually, we're looking at all of our documents and such that we normally share with you. I'm new to my role. I've only been here 10 months, but one of my, I like to say that one of my responsibilities is to ensure that we're crossing T's, dotting I's. And so what we're looking at is preparing for, wrapping up this current school year, preparing for the next school year, and ensuring that you have everything that you need at the end and the beginning of the school year. And that's one of the things that's on the list. So absolutely, we will send a new updated grid for team assignments. Yes. She said that one more time, Mara. Okay, so we will follow up with that individual who is asking for recruitment effort forms. We will follow up. Okay, thank you. All right, and the only other thing that I have is in reference to the support from Claridine. I'm pointing to you, but you just said Claridine, but Claridine's over here. Our support from Claridine. We do have PDM trainings that are currently in progress. In your packets that you received once you signed in today, you'll see that you have a hard copy of that training calendar. Trainings are underway. We are providing some trainings via Zoom, but we are encouraging when we have those in-person trainings that you guys come to those in-person trainings. Of course, it's more interactive. You get more information. Of course, we know you can't step away all the time, but we do have some Zoom options. But we are encouraging you guys to please sign up for these trainings. These are for your benefit. Some of the training topics that have been listed here on this slide that you see up here, what you need to know about program funding and age eligibility, a budget refresher review for federally funded programs. And though this may be geared toward federally funded programs, you may have some nuggets that will be beneficial for those of you who are funded through ECBG, our state funding. Budget management, award utilization for federally funded programs. Again, it's for federally funded programs, but I encourage you, even if you do not receive federal funds, that you can grab some nuggets from this particular training. We have program governance and additional trainings that are being provided. We again have our partner here, Kim McGee from Claridine. Kim, if you want to say anything additional. He's on his way up. Thank you. See, y'all clap for him. You didn't clap for me. No, just kidding. Just so.
Thank you, sir. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Ken McGee. If you don't know me, I'm the PDM Support Services Program Design and Management Engagement Manager for Claridon. We have trainings that are happening and we want you to register, and not only to register, but to attend as well. One of the benefits of attending the live training is that you're going to be able to ask questions and interact with your peers around the same domains during an actual live event, where we'll have our subject matter experts who bring several decades of experience of working with programs, and also being able to help you to be able to work out certain issues that you might have as far as things that you might not understand, or maybe you need to understand it from the lens of how you actually operate. And part of the thing is we want you to be able to operate more efficiently because you want to improve quality, and the program design is systematic. You want to be able to have systems that are going to work for you, not just one-offs as far as just one episode. You want to actually build systems that are going to be able to work for you consistently, repeatedly, to be able to be repeatable as well, and also for you to build your infrastructures better. And that's part of what, when we think about our design of what we design our training programs, is trying to help you to design systems that will help you to be more effective. So I encourage you to please register, and a lot of folks register, but also to attend as well, okay, and ask questions and participate. Thanks for your time, okay.
Are there any questions regarding PDM trainings? Oh. Okay.
How many of you are federal, state funded? ECBG, PFA, PI. One of the things that we did about a year ago or two, I can't remember, time flies when you're having fun. Due to some changes in our block grant, we had to take some of the support services off the block grant. And I know there were some things that you were receiving when we first did the consolidation that you were no longer receiving. As part of the grant, we are looking to reprogram some of our dollars to do some more of those trainings and supports for you. And I'm gonna say that I already talked to Claire Diamond, to Ken, about PDM, because I know that when it comes to budgeting, you need a hand. Sometimes you need some extra information. You need somebody to help you really strategically think about how to use all of your dollars. He's willing and able to do that. So we're going to be reprogramming to make sure that you have access to PDM, also state funded. And I know you're hearing, and it says federal, federal, federal. It says that because as of today, I haven't contracted with him, but we've talked about it and he's got you. Okay. And I just want to share that. Go ahead.
He's got you. I like that. He got you. Are there any questions? All right. Thank you, guys.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone feeling? Good? Okay. So you do know community assessments and self-assessments, they're a big deal to our team and they're past due. So please send them to the sales planning email address. Can you see that lovely email address up there? Please send it. And it is not a requirement for our PFA and PI programs, but we think it's a good idea to just assess your programming just to better move it along, much better. If you have any changes in your CPPC parents, we do need you to send an updated letter of certification as well as your parent tracking form. And some of you have submitted it, but we do need parent participation because we do have to have some approvals from your parents and we like them to come to our in-person meetings. How many of you are receiving our CSD updates? Okay, had to give her the teacher look. If you are not receiving the updates, again, please email the sales planning. If you have any staff changes, anyone new on board who you would like to receive those updates, please let us know because a lot of information is shared. And we do know if you're not opening those CSD updates. So we'll come find you. Any questions? No? Great. Yes, sure. Yes. Oh my God, I am Mertice Brooks, the supervisor for communications and planning.
Well, let me just say, I would love to. I said this, I think, in another meeting in our last EDPD, because people want those positions. And believe me, I want you to have all hands that you can. But I'm going to say the same thing I said then. I need you to first spend all your money. When we're leaving money on the table, I can't justify doing those things. And pretty soon you're going to see what the under expense is that is leading to my response today about those additional positions. If you have spent all of your money and you allocated and you know every dollar is going out of the door and you need something in addition to that, then we can talk about it. But when we're not first using what we've been granted already, I can't justify the addition. Region Office, Region 5, like she says to me all the time, you're one of the only recipients that are not sending me requests for additional funds. You know why I'm not? Because y'all keep leaving money on the table and I can't justify asking for more when I'm not spending what I have. And so because we're going and we're under expending, I can't justify the request for those slots or those positions to come back in. I want to go back and I want paraprofessionals. I know those hands were needed in classrooms. I had them up when I was on the other side. Made sure we had them when I came over here, and then we had some changes in the budget. The data, I know, needing people to help you with data, I know all of those positions are necessary. Some organizations were able within their funding to go ahead and keep their people on board, and some people were not. Spend your money and then talk to me about your additional needs and we'll work with you, but I can't do it unless I can see the dollars going out of the door. Okay? Any other questions? For money? Somebody in the room said yes. But the other person
Yes.
said yes, and I know. You can make individual supplemental requests. Everybody hear me? And these are out of the federal fund. You can make individual supplemental requests for additional funds. I will only be able to do anything with your supplemental request if you have first shown me how you're using every one of your current dollars, because supplement is extra and above your current funding level. Okay, I know I'm in that seat. I have to talk like that person who would be here. I don't have any additional state funds to do the supplementals with. Those dollars go directly out into contracts. The percentage that's above that's why you're getting the 10%, is because the majority of even the new increase that we got at DFSS is going directly out to you. I just don't have the additional in the state block grant. How many of you know that on the governor's legislative request that there's additional dollars for the state block grant? Everybody? Those are dollars that may come through. You guys have a voice. That's all I can say legally. Okay. The dollars are needed, and that's how far I can go in this conversation, but it's this in his request, hasn't been approved, but you have a voice. All right. Next up. Craig.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Craig Zemke. I am the supervisor for the data team at DFSS. Wow, it is really good to see everybody in one place, particularly some of you know who you are, who I have not seen in person for a number of years. So makes this a good day. This, however, is more mixed. This is our current state of this is the current state of our enrollment as of the end of April 2023. And I've seen now around the country, my impression is that everyone has been struggling with enrollment. But we have seen here a bit of falling back in terms of where we are approaching full enrollment from when we were last month. And I did notice earlier today that when asked who to raise your hand if you were fully enrolled, I think we had 4, which since we've got probably, how many now? 100 different agencies that we're working with, that's not great. So Head Start, the 3 to 5-year-old program is the closest to being up to speed. 90%, considering the current situation, is not terrible. But you look through the rest and you can see we're at 80% for Early Head Start, 68% for the Early Head Start Child Care Partnership Grant, 77% for expansion. And then for the state funded programs, Preschool for All is at 69%. For the prevention initiative, we're at 77% for center-based, 81% for home-based programs. And this is mostly, we are struggling to capture the data that we need to, because we have served more families through the doula program than this would indicate, but I don't have any data on them, which is what I want to talk to you about this morning. So can we get to the next slide? I don't want to belabor this. We have some fine people who have come here to give a guest presentation a little bit later on specifically how you need to work with the CEL application to access children who've applied and so on. But I did want to point out, this has the enrollment for next year. The push has already started. Initial placements from the online application will be sent out to families tomorrow. This means in terms of your recruitment plans and recruitment activities, those should be in full swing already. If not, Monday is a great time to start pushing for that. Every application, everyone who is going to enroll in the program next year must come through the CEL application. There is no other way to enroll children in our programs. So even if they're walking in the front door, families need to be directed to use this system. Again, there'll be in detail discussion of how to do that in a few minutes there. Next, thank you. So in terms of the way that this works this year, will be our second year in schoolment. So children who are returning to the same program will be keeping their spot. So if they had an offer last year, they still have it, and they do not need to be reapply or be re-enrolled in Chicago Early Learning. So there is the good news. Obviously, we will then need you to look at that list. After tomorrow, these children will also have offers. So look at that. If you know they're not returning or they have already left the program and we have still given them a seat for next year, it will be up to you to decline that spot, because right now they're holding a place and stopping anyone else from getting that seat. The second piece, though, is children who were in a birth to 3 program who will now be moving into a 3 to 5 program will need to reapply, because they are applying for a different seat, so they could not keep the same seat that they have. They're too old now. So the way the system works is a little bit different than the previous COPA system. And again, that's good news for you, because you don't have to wait until fall to figure out who's returning and get them in the system. They're on 2 separate tracks. Right now, we have 22 to 23 application for current enrollment, which is still active, and we have a new one. So you can put all those children in right now and do not need to wait. Yes, a question? Yes. that's a little bit different, but both in Schoolmint and in the CSD care system, the years are separate. And we'll be talking about this a little bit closer to the rollover. Because at CSD care, yes, but CSD cares is not quite set up for next year yet, but when it is, you will be able to enroll children in their programs and their seats and their classes and visiting clusters and so on before the rollover, because it's a different. So somebody could have a 23 enrollment at the same time, they still have a 22 enrollment. So rather than having to do everything in the same day, you could set up your groups several weeks in advance. And then on the day that we start the new year, it won't be a big dramatic change, other than we'll now be able to put in information and take attendance for the new year. Yes, and we'll get more information out about that as we get closer to the rollout. But yeah, we're looking at doing that and making it around Labor Day. Yeah. The other piece, though, regardless of what age there are, this past year we tried to be helpful, and we brought a lot of information from our old data system into our new system. But in some cases surrounding enrollment, that proved to be a difficulty, which everyone will remember. So we had children enrolled, and still do to some extent, that do not have a CPS ID. And we've been working on trying to get those all year, and it has been a challenge. So in terms of returning kids, if there's only a couple hundred of these at this point that were on the list otherwise, but if they don't have a CPS ID, they're not enrolled. So they don't have a seat for next year. And we're not dealing with this again next year, trying to have children on this enrollment list that we don't have an ID for. So if your child doesn't have a CPS ID still, even if they're staying in the same program, they need to apply in Schoolmint. There cannot persist in being enrolled but not enrolled. Yes. My understanding, and then it's great that we have people here from CPS that you will be able to ask more detailed questions about after that. But my understanding is that it's not instantaneous. So if they have applied in Schoolmint, they have a Schoolmint ID, but not a CPS ID yet, it's in process, and those will eventually be resolved. And in most cases, if that takes longer than a couple days, it's because rather than not having an ID, there may be more than one child in the system with a real similar information. So they may have more than one, and someone is going to have to go in and resolve that. Yes.
IDs are usually assigned between 24 and 72 hours. So if you don't see an ID for that child within 72 hours, it would probably be one of the exceptions that Greg was talking about. Oh, boy.
Hi, Jay.
Hi. Hi, I am Jay Gardner, and I am the data analyst for early childhood for CPS. So for IDs, it usually takes Schoolmint 24 to 72 hours to assign a CPS ID. If you see after 72 hours, there is still no ID assigned, it's one of the exceptions that Craig was just mentioning. Might have another child, same name, probably same date of birth, but we do have a team that goes in daily to fix all of these records that we can't, that the system is not automatically assigning IDs to. So we do have a troubleshooting team. The team consists of 2 people. Okay, but it's a team. Okay. I even have to get in there sometimes and assign IDs, but just be patient with us. If it goes any longer than 5 days, though, please let the CSD team know, and then they can let us know, and we can look into those particular cases. Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, this is, yeah, she runs away. Yes, well, this is what I was talking about earlier. If they're transitioning to a new program, and that's even if it's at the same center, if they were in early Head Start and now they're going to into Head Start or another preschool age program, they do need to apply. They already have account in School Mint. The parent can go into the same account and apply to the next year, but they still need to do that because they're not able to keep the seat that they had this year since it is in birth to 3 program and not a 3 to 5 center-based program. So that's the situation. Okay. Yes. No. This is real simple. We don't do early 3s anymore. If a child turns 3 on September 2nd, that is a 2-year-old, that is a 2-year-old all year. That child cannot be moved up into the 3 to 5-year-old class. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the reason I don't want to get into this right now is that later in this meeting, there is going to be a presentation on how to use the admin section of Schoolmate. And there are steps that you can do. Essentially, if slots are being offered to the wrong children or not being offered, you have people stuck on the waiting list, you can go in there and request changes to the way your slots are allocated. The way we have done that initially is to do that based on your funding. It's going to be fairly restrictive, and you may have other sources of funding or additional children or so on. So there will need to be some changes. If you still have questions after that point, either ask them at the end or send an email to csdsupport@cityofchicago.org, and we'll figure out what needs to happen to correct the situation with the waiting list and the children trying to apply and so on. Okay. You knew it was coming. All right, so I purposely did this after a brief discussion of the other data systems, so I don't have to repeat myself. So at all of you who are federally funded, as a condition of receiving those funds, we need to submit a program information report. It is due every year on August 31st. In past years, we have done that primarily using data that came out of our COPA information system. And this year we're into a new system. Next slide, please. Okay, so not to put too fine a point on it, that means we need everyone in CSD Cares, and not just in the classroom, we need funding attached to them. And the reason for that, as you know, is that if you have Head Start and Early Head Start and Early Head Start Child Care Partnership, your agency needs to submit 3 PIRs, 1 for each option. So we need to know which kids are in which grants. And so funding needs to be attached to everyone. Now, we've all struggled over the last year. It's been a very steep learning curve adapting to the new information system for me as well. And I know there have been barriers to completing the process of applying funding. System-wise, those have been addressed. I believe there is new instructions that we're going through the process of being approved, and I'm pretty sure, I've heard they're done, so I believe that in the next week, you should be seeing those along with all the other instructions on the digital hub. But there is not a way around this. Every single child that is enrolled and funded needs to be documented as such in CSD Cares, or they can't be included on the PIR, and they don't actually count as enrolled. There is not another way to do it. We can't get any other information or even know what is missing if it's every single child doesn't have funding attached. So and again, we understand it's been a struggle and want to provide assistance, but to do so, because it is now May the 18th, and I would say slightly over half of the children have a funding attached, which isn't going to cut it. We need to figure out the scope of the problem, specifically who's there. So one more slide, I think. Yes, so we're going to ask you for data elements. We need to know the name of each child, other basic information about them, what makes them eligible, and other demographic information that we need to feed into the PIR. That way we'll be putting the right children on the right grant, and we'll know what our target is and what we're looking for. This will be everyone who took part in the process of gathering information for the early childhood block grant reporting earlier this year, which last time I checked was just about everyone, knows how this is going to work, because it's going to work the same way. So we're going to share folders with you. We're going to ask for the children's information. That way we will know who's in the system, who isn't in the system, and we'll be able to work with you to make sure that everyone gets into the system. I have been asked by my wonderful staff to just say a couple things about this. We're going to be sharing live documents with you. That means as soon as you type it in there, we can see them. That means don't download them and pass them around, then we can't see them. If you need someone else to have access, let us know and we will share the folder with them. Secondly, they'll have a lot of pull down menu items on them, because as you know, if you've seen the PIR, there are certain answers like do break them out. So there's not a lot of room for a different response. So please pick an item off of the list. Don't cut and paste some other stuff in there that isn't one of the possible responses, because then we'll have to follow up with you. Anything else? Oh, and when we're, just to be clear, there are some questions in the PIR, which you're probably familiar with, where they look separately at returning children versus new children. So if we're asking for an enrollment date, we don't want you to put August 22nd, 2022 for everyone. We want to know if they started in July, if they started 2 years ago. We want that information. So that's that piece. We're hoping to get some information out tomorrow. These forms are done. What we're doing right now is taking the children who are in CARES and putting their names in, so at least we have a start and you're not starting with 0. You can also see if we include who's there, and then you'll know who's missing. We like to have these back by June 1st. I don't feel like it should take that long, because I feel like you should know who is in your program. And I would really like to too. The one last thing, I know someone covered this, so I won't like harp on it, but because we're going to send this information out, please read your email. Please read your CSD updates. I know some people tell me, oh, well, we try to do that, but it goes into spam or something. You can, most email programs, you can make your own folder and say anything that comes from CSD will go into this folder, and then they'll all be right there. You can also see them all on our website, which is childrenserviceschicago.org. So if you haven't seen one in a while, we send them out more than once a week. So if you haven't seen one in a while, look on the website and you will find it. Okay, any questions? Yes. We're going to need the information to be in the system, but we can't, if we don't have the right children identified in section A, we can't pull anything out, because you won't show up on the Early Head Start Child Care Partnership report if you're not tied to that funding. So with this is going to be the first step. That is the structure for in place for a possible plan B that I don't even want to talk about right now. We need to get information out of here. But if everyone actually fills out these documents and we can pull this together, yeah, we could then do section A offline. We cannot do section C offline. We need to know all of the children's health and family services information in order to report it. Yeah.
So that being said, you guys asked about before, we went back to the ticket system and we created these that we kept track of family services and all that. So
Mhm.
that being said, the support, once that stuff comes out, because we've already done it, is there a way where we can send you our documentation where you guys can kind of migrate it into that?
Okay. I would just want to point out that in terms of the data team at DFSS, there are 4 of us. So there are many agencies that have larger staff to work with this than the city does. So if you're asking if you're going to send us information and we're going to sit down and put it in, we're not staffed to do that.
I know that.
Mhm,
There were spreadsheets that I was able to send,
mhm,
and then the cutting and pasting, because when we do the cutting and pasting on our end,
mhm.
it comes out different for you guys, and so that's why I was asking that.
So I'm hearing a couple of questions from you. Number one, after you do all of this from your tickler file, can we migrate data into CARES? There's some possibility with that, but again, whatever it is has to be consistent across the board. If it's not all the data sets on the same data line, no, we can't migrate it. And that's why we're trying to create things where it can be a help agent in this process. Because even when it came down to the ISBE data or the ECBG, there were specific lines where data had to go in order for it to match to what's in CARES. We set up a system in CARES that then that feeds into. We're building out the PIR in the CARES system. And so what Craig is saying, you can't add lines, you can't change it, you can't do any of that because it will feed directly into CARES. And so as long as we can come up with systems where we can migrate data set to data set and it's a true match, we can work with it, and we're going to be working with it because this is going to be a massive lift to try to get this PIR done. But the first point to what Craig is saying, if we can't identify the children, there's no PIR. And so we know we've got a lot of children in there, and we need to make sure that they're on the right funding stream in order for us to do the 4 separate PIRs that we have to produce by August 31st. Okay.
Yes, but I also said you should know who is in your program. So I feel like that's giving you more time than necessary. If we're asking you right now and you're saying, gosh, which of our kids are in early Head Start Child Care Partnership? We have problems. So I know that's not the case. So, okay.
So, but I'm going to answer yours in just a second, but to the June 1st date, because of the massive lift, A, we need done so that we can know what we're getting for B and C. We can't plot the path forward without doing A. And so because everybody has an added funding to all of their children in CARES, this is the only way for us to map the system to make sure they can attach to the 4 separate grants. Got to be June 1 in order for us to make it to August 31st, or we're not going to be on track to do it.
We're trying to get this out to,
The question is,
Oh, yes.
June 1, when are they receiving the templates?
we're going to begin sending these out tomorrow. I don't know if we'll be finished with them, but if not, we'll be finished with them on Monday. That's why I said, but you know, we didn't have to share one at a time. So we'll be going through the day. This is why I said, please check your email. Things will be coming very soon.
The PFA PI income guideline or eligibility based on our IGA that just was signed goes from 200% of federal poverty to 400% of federal poverty, if that's what you're asking. Well, the income, first of all, PFAPI, they have to be in the city of Chicago. Then there's the age eligibility. They may have some categorical eligibility, may be homeless. Those things are still categorical eligibility for PFA. But at the end of the day, when we're looking at salaries, instead of them having to be under or at 200% of federal poverty, that has increased to 400. You do have to serve the most neediest children first. So I'm not asking everybody to go out and find all the parents who are 400% of federal poverty, because again, there's plenty enough children in Chicago that are beneath that. Okay. Yes. I'm gonna have to ask the person for clarity. I'm gonna make an assumption. The person on Zoom is asking about family services. Can they put information in CARES? Yes, there are places in CARES for you to be putting information about your families and what you're doing with them, including vaccinations, et cetera. Those things are in CARES. What we know is everybody's not actively using every one of the tabs or every one of the sheets.
I would like to point out to everybody, if you're wondering where to find those, that all of the trainings that were offered and were attended, but perhaps not as heavily as we wanted to, you can go onto the CSD digital hub. And there's a link to it from your single sign-on login screen. It's the same place that you get to Schoolmint and CSD Cares. And you can watch those. Again, there are instructions for how to do the different pieces. I believe the family services are going to be covered in the one that's called case management, but there are a number of trainings that are still available at that location. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
I believe
Cool. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, cool. So my name is Eliza Grady. I'm here from Elevate Energy. We are an environmental nonprofit, and I'm really honored to say we work in partnership directly with DFSS to provide free lead and water mitigation services to Chicago-based childcare providers. Can you hear me better now? There we go. I can see you all moving. Cool. So I know you all just had quite a bit of information thrown at you. I'm very familiar that you all have a lot on your plate. And so before I get into the presentation, I want you to know that this one is just more to notify you of services available. The biggest ask I'm going to have is that if you're interested and you think you could benefit from this, that you come talk to me after and enroll. We're not going to go over any like huge data sets or anything you have to enter. Again, this is just to notify you of what's available. Cool. So again, I'm from Elevate. We're going to go over some of the lead and water safety requirements, which I'm sure you all are overly aware of. And then we're going to review what are some free resources to meet these requirements, how you can take advantage of them. And then ideally, I'd like to have some time if you all have questions or comments towards the end, we can have that discussion here. If not, I'm right here in the front. I'm happy to stick around and talk to you all one-on-one as well. So again, Elevate is a Chicago-based nonprofit. Our goal really is to make a more equitable world in which everyone has clean, affordable heat, power, and water. Specifically here, we're focusing on access to clean and healthy water for the children that you all serve every day. So with this section, I kind of want to get us a little bit more moving if possible. So please feel free, raise your hand, just say yes, give a snap, give a clap. This is what I've heard from childcare providers. And if you're online, please feel free to drop a comment in the chat or do a little reaction emoji. So when it comes to lead in water, I think we all know that when Illinois rolled out its requirements, while they were very well intended, the way they were rolled out with lead and water testing and mitigation, it was confusing. I think a lot of childcare providers had to learn the hard way that mitigation is very expensive because they were put in a position where they had to mitigate. Again, if this sounds like you, please let me know. You all already have a lot on your plate. So if you're put in a position where you feel like you're asked to be a lead and water expert, that can be a huge burden and definitely prevent services from being enacted at your facility. It's a huge lift. Where do you even start? And I think what's difficult through all of this is, as we know, we all want to serve the kids and make sure that, the care you're extending towards them is really fulfilled, and having a safe and healthy environment is a huge part of that. And then additionally, the information is just really hard to find, right? You have to deal with plumbers, you have to deal with what is the threshold with lead, how did lead get in my facility? If you want to remove it, what are the resources available? And I'm really happy to say that there are some, and I'm going to go over those in the next slide. So this is, again, probably not new, but as you all know, being licensed in the state of Illinois, you are required to test your water for lead. You have to share those results with the statewide licensing agency. If lead is detected, and just to clarify, that detection rate is 2.01 parts per billion. That'll be indicated on your lead and water test results. If you receive a result at that level or higher, you are required to take action to remove lead from your facility. And this is where we get into the development of a mitigation plan and then the implementation of mitigation. Once you do that, you do have to retest. So again, a lot of steps and a lot on your plate. Thankfully, Elevate, we do have two really essential free resources that I'm happy to introduce, happy to talk about even more after this presentation. The first one is LeadCare Illinois. This is our free lead and water testing service. So essentially, you submit an application. Our team will submit a test kit request on your behalf. It'll be mailed directly to your facility. We have call center staff to walk you through how to take the best test to get the most accurate result. After you receive your results, they will put you in contact with me and my team if you're based in Chicago. And I am the project manager for LeadCare Complete. Once we have your enrollment and you do have lead in your water, we are able to essentially match you with a licensed plumber who will come and perform the services to remove the lead within your facility at absolutely no cost to you. So again, we have free testing services. So if you haven't tested, super important that you do. We need to know what kind of lead and water situation we're working with. If lead's not detected, that's really wonderful news. If lead is detected, LeadCare Complete can definitely help you navigate the next step, which will be your mitigation journey. So there is a lot of text on this slide. I will do my best to break it down. So with LeadCare Complete, side note, I'm going to speak to specifics more of this program right now, seeing it's the one I manage. If you have questions on LeadCare Illinois, which is the free lead and water testing program, I do have an info sheet on the back table. And again, I'm sitting right here in the front. I have my business card, so we can get in contact to get you more information for that as well. So I'm happy to say we work with both home-based and commercial-based providers in the city of Chicago. You must have a validated lead and water test results indicating a result of 2.10 parts per billion or higher. Again, that will be indicated on your results for you. If you need assistance reading through it, we can provide that service as well. And something I wanted to emphasize too, we actually have a lot of money to help you all right now, and we want to give it to you so badly. So we have about $1.2 million worth of funds that can go directly to you and your facilities. And that is, you get access to that as soon as you enroll. What does that mean to enroll? You'll simply just submit an enrollment form. I have paper copies in the back. I have a QR code that you can scan to do it online. And I also, at the end of this presentation, will have the website, so you can go there directly as well. Once you submit that, what we'll do is, again, we match you with a licensed plumber. They will come out to your facility, look at every single outlet, identify where the sources of lead are and within your interior plumbing. We will then take that, put together a proposal on your behalf, identifying sources of lead and mitigative actions to be taken. All you have to do is just sign and say, yes, I want these implemented at my facility. Once we have your approval, the plumber buys the supplies, we schedule when they can come to your facility, they install the upgrades, and then we retest to see how successful we were. So again, not a lot of data we need from you. We just need you to enroll and then just sign and say, I want these installed at my facility. After that, we cover the coordination. We cover putting together your mitigation plan. We assign you a plumber. We can submit the mitigation plan and get you a free retest kit. Once we have validated your results, ideally no lead's detected. We are required to do a second round of testing. That's another statewide requirement. That comes back lead not detected. You just met your state required lead and water testing and mitigation requirements. And again, just enrollment form and approval signature. Another important highlight, this program runs through the end of August 31st, 2024. So we do have about a year or so. I'm still encouraging people. It is first come, first serve, and we really want to get this money out into the communities of Chicago between all of us. If that doesn't happen within the timeline, we do plan to request, or we're hoping to request, to find ways to extend the program because we think it's a really important resource for the city. And again, I just wanted to highlight this is available through the US EPA and Department of Family and Support Services. This is just a little bit more detailed framing of what you can expect by participating in the program. So we like to really engage with community outreach. I'm here today meeting with all of you. Again, please come talk to me after, even if it's not about lead. I would just love to meet all the people here in this room. We want to obtain your buy-in. Like I said at the beginning, you all have so much on your plate. I know this information is really confusing, and we want to be a trusted source of lead and water mitigation. So if you have questions, concerns, again, please come to us. Once you're enrolled, we're going to perform that assessment. Again, all you have to do is open the door, tell us where the where the service line, water service line is into your facility and where the water meter is. Our staff and the plumber can take care of the rest, and we just need you to show them where the outlets are. They'll review it, they'll assess it, they'll identify how to remove lead. We'll put together your lead and water mitigation report that you can submit. And then we come back out and actually install the upgrades we've identified. And then with evaluation, we just make sure they were successful. And to date, I'm really proud to say we've enrolled 42 childcare providers. 58% of those are home-based, 52% are commercial. So again, we're starting to see a really nice 50-50 makeup of our participation. In total, we've conducted about 24 site assessments and have completed mitigation at 14 facilities. And you'll see we're about 42,000 in actual spent, and that's of the 1.2 million. So if you want to take advantage of this, please know the funds are available, and we are very excited to work with you. And even with these numbers, it's really promising to see that with these 42 facilities, we've serviced over 250 children in the Chicagoland area, and that number is only going to go up, hopefully. So we're ensuring a lot of kids are going to have access to healthy and assured safe drinking water. And our goals, we want to start seeing, 10 to 30 providers enrolled a month. Ideally, we'll hit about 100 to 150 total by end of August this year. And our goal is also expanding our capacity. For me as the project manager, a big part of that is just getting more community input. So again, what are the barriers to your participation? If you do participate, how was it? What could be done better? And what do you think went really well? And so just to identify some things we're hoping to do is, one, just be more present at these types of gatherings. It's really great to see everyone in person. Very tired of speaking into my computer, and I love actually seeing real faces in the room. We're hoping to utilize maybe more text message services. So again, it's not a burden to have to check on everything. And we'd love to just be like, hey, your report's ready. click this link if you want to take a look at it. Engage on social media. And then something else we're hoping to expand into is sending direct mitigative action. So water pitchers and faucet mount filters to facilities who need immediate mitigative strategies. And okay, last slide, or we're coming close to the end, is how to enroll. We have quite a few options. Like I said, you can go to this URL on the screen. If you would like to do that, please take your phone out, take a picture, write it down, whatever's best access for you. I also have a few paper enrollment forms on the back table. Those also have a QR code you can scan to enroll over the phone as well. The QR code will also connect you with an enrollment form that's been translated into Spanish. So if you prefer that, you can do that. Also, feel free to share it with other providers whom you think that would help them better access this resource. You can give our program phone line a phone call. Again, feel free to take a picture of that phone number, give us a call whenever. Also, I will be here to a little bit after 12 as well. I have my business cards and I'm happy to speak to you one-on-one. And this is my direct contact information as well. So again, my name's Eliza from Elevate, project manager for this wonderful program. And if you'd like, you can reach me directly on email at that address. So thank you.
Let's give Eliza another hand. This is our partner. We've been in partnership, maybe going on 2 years now. So it's an excellent partnership and free. All right, I also want to acknowledge, I'm B. Nichols, Director of Children's Services. I also want to acknowledge another provider that's here, Linda McDonald. She's over there with the nutrition headboard. Thank you, Linda. And go see Linda as well. She has some wonderful resources. You may remember Linda with Dominican University. And we now, under our health contract with NovaCare, have been able to bring Linda along with us still. And she is now under NovaCare. So NovaCare does health and nutrition. But I just wanted to acknowledge that she's here as well. Thank you. What does?
Can you, like, I'm not in the camera. Oh, okay. One second, please. Good morning, everyone. I'm Frederick Stewart, Director of Finance at DFSS. I hope you guys are excited. Oh, I can't move, right? Okay, I wanted to walk around a little bit, but I hope you guys are excited about this new format, how we presenting the financial information This is our first time rolling it out this way, courtesy of Ms. Raythel and Ms. Jocelyn. Give them a hand. Hopefully it's a little bit easier to understand. I'll go over it. As it relates to the federal grants, the Head Start, the Early Head Start CCP, and the expansion, we should be at 42% of invoicing. So you should have invoiced up to April 30th of 23. With Head Start, we're currently at 14.85%. With Early Head Start, we're at 10.43%. Early Head Start CCP, we're at 12.67%. And Early Head Start expansion, we're only at 4.04%. And we should be at 42% at this point. As it relates to the state grants, we should be about 83% invoiced and expended. When you look at ECBG, we're at 50.96%. With childcare, we're at 63.74%. Okay. Next slide. HHS fiscal year 22 with our cursor invoice deadline was 5/12/23. Confirmation emails for invoice completion were sent. Unexpended funds will be deobligated this month. CARES invoices should have been submitted through 4/30/23 period covered, and at least monthly going forward, invoices will not be accepted after August 11th, 23, including the resubmission for rejections and or deletions. Base fiscal year 22 closeout report was submitted in April. As it relates to the 23 grants, the budget review. Okay. How about now? Okay. Budget review and processing is complete for direct providers. Invoices should be submitted through 4/30/23. If you have not received the SRPO assigned to your budget, please reach out as soon as possible. COLA grant application feedback was received and returned to the funder for review and approval. FY 23 childcare. Invoices should be submitted through 4/30/23 period covered. Monthly invoice submission is required, and invoices will not be accepted after 8/11/23, including resubmissions for rejections or deletions. FY 23 PIPFA, invoices should be submitted through 4/30 period covered. Please hold off on invoice submission until your COLA budget revision is approved. You'll receive an email notification upon iSupplier approval. Invoices will not be accepted after 8/11/23, including resubmissions for rejections and or deletions. COLA allocation letters were distributed in advance of the contract award notifications to allow for advanced time of budget revision preparation. Budget revisions are due Monday. We'll be sending additional information by COB today with frequently asked questions, along with additional information needed to be submitted with your revision based on your funder requirements. So you should receive one of these today. Frequently asked questions as it relates to the COLA. Next slide. iSupplier insurance. Ensure that your insurance is up to date. Expired insurance will hold up your contract, invoicing and payments. iSupplier training and reference material at the link there. New site form requirement, there's information there. Your finance contacts. Laverne and Teresa, as it relates to your Head Start, Early Head Start, CCP, and expansion. Corporate and RTL, Laverne and Teresa. Childcare, Selena Ruan. PIPFA, Sharon Davis, and Teresa Lopez. Anything after this one? And I think that's it. So, yeah, I don't know who's next, but you guys have a great day.
So you, as Frederick said, you're going to, if you got PFA PI and you're doing COLA, you're going to receive a frequently asked questions document because we've been getting questions about what to do. You're also going to get a document where you need to fill out and actually say where your COLA is going, including who you're assigning COLA to, so that we can see clearly where that 10% is being spread in your organizations. And so those documents are coming out. We've worked on them. They're coming out so that you can get those documents completed and get them back in. If after you assign your COLA, your 10% COLA across your staff, as I said earlier, if there's additional dollars, then you're able to look at program operations and make some decisions about where those dollars are going to go. But first, as I said earlier, you must apply COLA, okay? And so you are going to be getting more documents. So when you leave here, go to your office, sit down quickly, open up your email, see what you got. He reminded me that I like to fuss about invoices. Y'all know why? Did you see the percentages that's been spent? If somebody came into my office today and say every dollar unexpended needs to go back, what would happen with your programs? You'd all shut down, people, okay? And I'm gonna be real serious with you. If we keep doing this, you are going to lose. I'm gonna say it again. If you keep doing it, you're going to lose. And the loser in all of that are the children that we serve. And so if you need help in figuring out how to spend your money, we're going to help you. But leaving it and not expending it is no longer optional. Our federal funder wants a monthly invoice. They can see into the system and see where dollars are going. Our state funder, ECBG, CPS, wants an invoice on a monthly basis so that we can see where dollars are going. Childcare requires monthly invoices. I don't have a funder that doesn't require a monthly invoice, but yet I've got agencies who have not invoiced for 2023. Obviously, somebody won the lotto and didn't tell us, because I don't understand why any of you don't need your money. But the one thing that you're holding up is this. Remember earlier, somebody asked me about, can we get our paras and our data staff back? I can't give you anything when you're not spending your money. I can't. Even if I wanted to go to a funder and say, can I do X? The first thing they're going to say is the same thing they say to me every time I talk to them, but you're under expended. Now, I'm a very crafty person when it comes to spending money. Did y'all hear me? Don't let my craftiness get busy in my office, because I've had some conversations with my staff. I've got some great ideas. If you leave it, then you're leaving it up to me. And you don't want to do that because you need your dollars in your house. You need them for your staff. You need them for your operations. But we cannot continue to do this in the city of Chicago. If you're not fiscal, if your programs, if you're going home after you leave here to your office, go in the door and say, why are we not invoicing? Why are we not spending all of our money? It's actually inexcusable. Did everybody hear me? I can't justify it, and I will no longer try to justify it, because I've been saying it, I know since I've been in this seat, that I need people to invoice on a monthly basis. And so, as I mentioned before, we're working with Claradime, and Claradime and I are going to come into some of your houses and try to figure out why you're not invoicing on a monthly basis. If you need help, say you need help, but not invoicing can no longer help us. CPS, for example, needs to know within a timely fashion what's being left on the table. Shouldn't be anything, but if it is, I need to tell them so that they can reallocate. So you're messing up what's happening from your funder. Federal, HHS needs to know in a timely fashion so that we can reallocate. And I can say something like this: I want dollars to roll over to the next federal year, but you leave me in a position where I'm unable to speak to either one of my funders to help you. And so as of today, anybody who is not invoicing on a monthly basis, hear my voice. I am going to start putting you on what's called the Department of Family and Support Services high risk list, because you're high risk, obviously, because you're not using your dollars. What that high risk list says is that they're going to audit you more often, and we're going to try to figure out what the heck is going on in your house. I've been saying it for too long. I've been working with the fiscal team. I've got the staff. And now again, I'm sitting in the seat because I'm not only the deputy commissioner, I'm also the manager. And so I'm seeing in your house things that you don't want me to see now that I'm in that seat. And I can tell you that we have problems and I want to work with you to work on the problems. It is May 18th. When does the fiscal year end for ECBG? Anybody? And what did we say was the expenditure rate? You guys want me to read it out for you? I think it says something like 50%. 50% says that's the dollars that you should have spent no later than 5 months after the grant opened in July. We are in May. I've got a month left on this grant. I know you got a lot of invoices in your house. I know you do, but they're not in mine. So they're not accounted for. So go back, have your people do their invoicing, get them in. How many of you know there's a new mayor? Anybody? Anybody see that? Department of Family and Support Services has someone now who wants to understand what's going on with all the money in the city of Chicago. If I sit in a chair and I have to explain it, what's my answer? I can give you one. You won't want me to give it to you. Obviously, they're overfunded because they're not expending it. I know that's not the true answer. But if I'm sitting there, I don't necessarily have a rational reason for why today only 50% of that grant is expended. I will tell you, if you put something in iSupplier yesterday, it's not accounted for. Okay, it's not accounted for. But when you go back to your house, I hope it's all accounted for, meaning that you're going to go in and say, we need our money. We need to not be losing anything. And we need to make sure that we're invoicing so we can make sure we have everything we need. Because somebody in here is going to come to me and ask me for something. And the first thing I'm going to look at your budget allocation and your under expenditure and tell you, you have money in your house. Do that first and then come talk to me. Because I can't give you extra if you're not spending what you have. But I started off saying it, I'm going to say it again. If we don't, we're going to lose it. If you lose it, how many of you are going to be operational? It shouldn't be a finance office that's not actively busy right now doing invoices. Check in, find out what's going on. If you need help, Claridine's here, Frederick's here, we're here, we're going to help, but we can't do this anymore. It has got to be active expenditures, monthly invoicing. Anybody who isn't, again, I can only make one recommendation, and that you go to the high risk list for DFSS, which means you're now under watch of the leadership in that division. Everybody hear me? Thank you.
A little short, so let me know if you have some difficulty hearing me. My name is Jackie Marshall. I am the Director of Operations at Vera Creative with marketing and messaging. I know we mentioned it earlier, but marketing materials are on their way. They were a bit delayed as we try to get everyone to sign up. So if you are here and you have not yet signed up for materials, please do so with me today in the back. Even if you want to confirm that you are signed up and you have them on the way, feel free to see me in the back. Also, before I get into backend access with admin, I just want to mention that we are beginning application training starting next week. So we will do every single week, Thursdays at 1 o'clock. We'll switch between virtual and in person. We know there's preference for both. So if you have staff that you want to sign up today, sometimes EDPDs sign them up and inform them later. You can definitely do that with me today. Otherwise, we will get you the link with the presentation so that they can sign up. I don't know if I just touch this or how I make it move. So I will spend the next few minutes just giving a very high level of backend access for admins. So the first step is to log into your Rapid ID. And if you do not have that, you can contact the CSD support email, which is on the Digital Hub, but it's also csd@cityofchicago.org. Next, you will have a lot of different features depending on the access that you have, but the one that we'll focus on today is Schoolment. If you are not an agency admin, you will not see the Schoolment option. Again, if you have any difficulties, you can email CSD support. And so this is a dashboard that leads where you're led to as soon as you do sign in. I just want to take note to the upper right hand where it says dashboard, students, applications, reports. That's mainly where you will be focused on. But if you can't see it on here, but if you scroll down onto this dashboard page, you can see applications by submission status, application by status, and by grade. So one thing I do want to point out is that in the upper right-hand corner of your browser, when you do log in, there are school year options. And so for the sake of this presentation, because statuses were not sent out yesterday, I mean, before this week, I am focusing on 22 and 23. However, after tomorrow, when everything goes out to families, you will want to focus on 23 and 24. So just make sure that you change that up. Otherwise, you may be frustrated or not see exactly what you're looking for. So once you click on applications, you will see total students, total applications, and total submitted. We did block out names for this presentation because we don't want any students to have their information out there. However, we are using Evalor as an example. And so, if you scroll down on the website, you can actually see the full database of students and you can export it if needed. So then if you click on view results and options, it will automatically direct you to a site called Banyan. Again, Craig or CPS or someone can give some more follow-up to this, but as soon as you click on that, you are no longer in Schoolment. So there you'll be able to do accept offers, decline offers. And if you want to get back into Schoolment, you'll have to open up a new tab, correct? And go into Schoolment. Like if you want to go back into the dashboard or back into applications, you will have to go back into Schoolment rather than in Banyan. So in Banyan, this is the first thing that's going to pop up. It's the dashboard tab. And here you will again be able to accept offers, export lists, update capacity, and complete verification for families. So now we'll focus on viewing the early learning results. It will require you to add your agency as well as your site name. Again, Evalor has quite a few, so there's a lot of options here. Can go to the next one. And so once you do click on your site, it'll tell you the total accepted, total open offers, as well as a total on the wait list. And the next slide shows what it exactly looks like. So here again, you'll just click on that green button if you want to accept. After tomorrow, there'll be quite a few, I'm sure, which you can go in and accept them all or decline. Oh, sorry, could we go back one? And then also want to note here on the right is verification. So if you click on that, the next slide shows up. This is where all of the verification information will show. Yeah, so this is what happens when you click on verification. So going back to the dashboard, once you have accepted all the offers needed, we do want you to focus on updating capacity. And so the whole point of capacity is that if your capacity in Schoolment is higher than it actually is, you may give out a seat that does not exist. However, if it's lower, you may waitlist a child that can actually have a seat in your program. So it's really important to update capacity. And you'll do that again on the Banyan dashboard, clicking capacity. And then an example here is Head Start, Early Head Start. There's 56 open seats. If it really is 42 and you need to edit that, or it's 47 or 48, all you do is click on that little pencil. We can go to the next slide. Clicking on that little pencil will pop up this screen where you can then give the proposed new capacity number and then submit it. Once it's submitted, there's not a certain amount of days that it gets accepted. However, unless you're going from like 60 capacity to 100 capacity, more than likely it will be accepted. If it is a crazy number like that, they may be in review and you'll be contacted by someone from CST. And so again, I know Craig mentioned earlier, but all offers are going to be released tomorrow. And so we know that parents are very frantic. We've had so many focus groups and out in the field, and parents are like, they're the first ones on the list, like waiting at 8 a.m. to apply for their application. And they're very flustered, they're frantic. To them, it's the top priority for them to get their kid in school. And so, we receive a lot of social media messages if they're waitlisted, just very in a frantic state. So a friendly reminder, which I know that you all already do, but being as kind as possible tomorrow as parents are in their own personal uproar, trying to get their child enrolled. And we are doing a lot of messaging on the back end, making sure that social media is updated as it comes. If there's any crash or people are not getting emails, we make sure that we get the message out. But thank you guys for all that you do. And if you have any questions, now's the time to ask. Yes, yes. Is there an update when there will be a CARES? Sorry, repeat that one more time. Oh, training for home visiting and PI.
Poor Jackie.
I'll leave it to the expert.
We are working to make sure that we are doing trainings for home base and home visiting and for doula, because we recognize in our putting together this new system, that's the last one to come online. And so we are preparing right now trainings for you, including the health and safety 2.0, aligning that. So what we're trying to do now is focus on what we have not done. We've got a priority. That PIR is the priority, not that you're not, but that PIR has to go out. And so those who have early Head Start home visiting, for example, we're going to be working to make sure you can use the system and we can get your data. But right now we're really trying to make sure that we have the training that really works, which means when you go into the system that we will be able to help you navigate from place to place. And that's the work that we're doing right now on the CARE system, so that you're able to find your way into the system, be able to do, check in for your home visits, put in case notes and do all of that. Yours is a little bit different because it's not attendance. And so we need to make sure that you're able to capture exactly what you need to capture in the system. It's being built into the system, but we've got to make sure that it is intuitive enough for your program structure. It's got to be soon. They're working on it right now, so that we're able to get you in there. That's what we're trying to do. So more information to come as soon as we know that you're able to go and navigate in that system. And that's what we're working on. When I looked at it, it just didn't work the way it needed to. So we're working on it. Okay. Any other questions? No other questions.
I just wanted to give a quick reminder. Tomorrow, new offers will be going out for the upcoming school year 23-24. Also understand that the current year application is still open as well. If families come to you, and make sure we pay attention to the email that they're presenting to you with their offer information, and the school year is highlighted on that offer letter. We are asking that parents aren't turned away tomorrow. Hopefully, if you're getting parents and you're saying these aren't good seats, please look into changing and updating you all's capacities immediately. They all do have to be approved, but I'm sure someone is working on that at CSD. If you all have any questions, I encourage you to reach out to CSD before families are turned away or you all start declining seats or trying to clean up systems, because families are eager. They will be showing up everywhere tomorrow. We are in CPL, Chicago Public Libraries, but we don't do verification for your families. So if they come to us, we're going to send them back to the agencies where they receive their offers. And that is the messaging we are giving from my team, the messaging from the Chicago Early Learning Hotline. So if you see parents coming in, we're pushing them your way if they're coming our way. I just wanted to give that quick update. Any questions? We're going to do good tomorrow. It's going to be okay. We're going to fill all these seats. Let us know if you have any questions, but always reach out to your support staff. Yes. Correct, but your application for current year is still open. So if you have that and you don't have any more seats, I would say look at your capacity and changing it, or reaching out to your CSD support staff for support with that if you actually do not have any other seats available. And they can help you all troubleshoot. But this is the first year both apps are open at the same time. So I just wanted to make sure we pay attention to the email and what school year they actually received an offer for.
Thank you. So when parents are walking in, the first thing we're going to do is what? Welcome them. I will tell you what I heard last year and we were triaging it. I'm not a part of Chicago Early Learning. Excuse me, how many of you are not a part of Chicago Early Learning? Oh, I'm so glad nobody raised their hand because you all are. You're all a part of Chicago, number one. You're all a part of early learning. We put those three together, we got Chicago Early Learning. So you're all a part of Chicago Early Learning. And so if a parent shows up at your door excited to be a part of your family, welcome them. Even if it is a parent in a situation that you just described. Have a conversation with that parent. The response should not be, we don't have no room. I don't know where you get that letter from. I'm saying everything that I've heard, people. I've been on I tell my desk at the front desk at DFSS, if there's a parent calling about early learning, who do they call? I don't let them go to anybody else's phone number but mine because I want to hear the story. Okay. And when I'm hearing it, then I'm online looking to see if you have a seat. And when I need to, I'm calling your staff and saying, we have a problem. You turn away one parent and that parent goes home. What do you think she tells everybody else? There's no space for me and my child. That they didn't say just at that one center. Their thought is immediately that something was not right in all of this, and they just gave me this and it doesn't mean anything. It does mean something. If I give you one and it says I need a seat today, it was because that mom is about to go to work or school and she's looking for care. How many of you know about other programs around you? Because this isn't just about you and your house. If you're full, there's one down the street who is not. So you are not to turn them away and turn them around with nothing. They get enough of that in society. Let it not be us. Make sure that we are working with them to talk about what else. And if you need help with that, call me because I will sit right there and resource something for that family versus them walking away feeling like, see what happened yet again in Chicago. I thought I was going to get some support and I can't. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Of course, we can take them, but we need to make sure that it's a
23, 24. Absolutely. Both of them are open and that email is going to say that. If I went in and I applied for this program year, it's going to say this program year. If I applied for next program year, that email is going to say next program year. And that's why she's saying, Jay would say, read the email so that you can see exactly what the parent is applying for. Again, help them. Don't turn them away. Don't make them feel like this isn't for my child. They don't understand when that happens that it's somebody at one door at one seat. They think it's the whole system has failed them yet again. Yes, Ken.
make sure that let parents know, even if it's not seated, your location, that there are options for free programming where it's not just co-pays or pay for service. That free does include Head Start, early Head Start, so it's not typical. So you just co-pay. There's free programs that some of you guys offer.
Absolutely. And so if it's for 23-24 school year, let me ask you a question. If I was about to offer you $100 million and all I said was, you got to give me 2 months before you can get it. Are you just going to go away and not come back and talk to me somewhere within that 2 months? You're going to come back. You know why? Because you want to make sure that I'm still serious about your $100 million. That's the value of that for a parent. Okay. Talk to them, communicate with them, have your staff connect with them over a couple of months so that they feel connected to you as part of your family. Yes, I've got a seat for you starting whatever date. Let's talk about what your family needs. Do you know that these things are available in community? What else might your family need? develop a relationship, make me feel a part of the family. So when day one comes and I walk in the door with my baby, I'm already a part of something. Can we do that? I'm hoping we can do that across Chicago, because the one thing I don't want to have happen is what happened when we put offers out last year, was parents were upset, they were irate, and they felt like they had been done to, because they were showing up in buildings and saying, here I am, I want my child in your center. I chose you. And you turned around and said, but I don't choose you. That's exactly what that said to that family. And that's hurtful. And we're not here to hurt families. We're here to help families. If you can't serve that family, let us know. And we've got staff that will work with you to make sure we can get that family. There's the hotline. They can call, they can get another seat. We can do this, people, okay? Coming up.
I just want to clarify.
You got a second.
Yeah, just a second. Yes, yes. If somebody walks in the door today and did not go through the application and they're looking for a seat, the answer to what, first of all, they need to apply to both. So if they want to start sooner, but they have a spot for the 23-24 year, they need to go in and apply for this year. And if someone comes in and wants to start next week, they should go into both. Even if you don't have room right now, you should still work with them and help them get in and put in an application. Not that this is what you want them to do, but they can apply somewhere else at the same time. But also, someone could leave next week and suddenly you have a vacancy, and what are you supposed to do with the vacancy? Get somebody from the waiting list and put them in. So make sure that they're there.
The question is, how do you move families from the wait list in SchoolNet?
So the system is more complicated than I'd like it to be. But it does check and try to see if when a vacancy occurs, if anyone on the waiting list is eligible for it. But sometimes it has been sticky. And so we have, asked people to go ahead and send that information to CSD support. And that can be routed the right, we can figure out how to resolve that. However, I just want to say, most of the time, the issue is one of two things, which is really one thing. And that is that there is not a seat on your capacity matrix that is available to them at their level of eligibility. So there's a level that is, to get this seat, you have to have income under 100% poverty. There's another one that says they need to get this seat, you have to be under 200% poverty. There's another one that says 400%. So if they're 150, they're never going to be offered the spot that's at 100. And we can't force that either. There's just nothing we can do. You can't go into a spot. What needs to happen is you need to edit that capacity and move a seat to the lower level of eligibility, so that there is a seat for them to be enrolled in, and then they can be enrolled. So if you have children stuck for a long time, it's almost always the fact that they're over income for the slot that's available. And if you want to make them a bit eligible anyway, you need to move the slot downhill to create a seat for them to go in. And then if you contact us, we can give them that seat, but that you have to structure it so that there's somewhere for them to go. That's the biggest issue.
What offered TA?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the other issue, which is not the same thing, but kind of. It also has to do with the capacity matrix. If someone in our old system in COPA, when you drop someone from the classroom, it dropped them from the application automatically and opened up a seat for them to now be enrolled in. Currently, these systems do not speak to each other in that way. So if you drop a child from CSD Cares, you also need to go into SchoolMint and drop them to decline their offer. Otherwise, they will be occupying that seat forever. Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tasha Smith, and I represent the Chicago Early Learning Hotline support. And I just want you to know that if families do come in, you don't know what to do with them, you troubleshoot, you try to figure out something. The hotline is here for support for families. Like we help the families, we will refer you to DFSS for your programs, but for your families, we do hand in holding. We walk them through each program. We try to help them find a program that's suitable for their needs, like based on their income, just anything they need. We're there to support them to make sure that they help them. We could be on the phone with them for 45 minutes to an hour to help them navigate the process. That's our jobs, and that's something we get enjoyment and satisfaction in doing to help them find a program that works best for them. So just refer them to Chicago Early Learning Hotline. Anybody have? Yeah, yes, thank you. We do have somebody that speaks, we have Spanish speakers as well. So if you have some Spanish speakers, we're still working on other languages, but right now we just have English and Spanish. Anybody have any questions? Thank you. No, Sheree, you should not have a question. No, Sheree.
What if I assist for a current family? So I have a family that's already enrolled, but I have a mom who's moving now outside of the service area of my program that I currently run. Can I contact you for assistance with that?
This is a trick question. No, I'm just right. Okay, so it's part of Illinois Action for Children. We do manage the child care resource and referral. So if they're not in city of Chicago, anywhere in Cook County, we can help them find a child care program. We refer them to our community team that will help them educate them about what good quality child care looks like and any location. So, because a lot of times, a lot of families have trouble looking for before and after school care, evening and weekend care. And our community team will be able to help them with that process. And they also will help them assess the child care assistance program, and they help them fill out the child care assistance application and give them supports around that as well. You knew I was gonna say all that good stuff, didn't you? I know, I didn't even think about it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sheree. Any other questions? Thank you, Light.
I just love how you don't get to ask a question, Sheree. All right, one last opportunity, either online or in person. Are there any questions? Did we leave anything open-ended? Yes. Yes, that's correct. Yes, because things will get caught and stuck in the system, and you're doing a budget revision and it has to be approved so that then you'll be able to invoice and everything will go through the system. You're welcome. Any other questions? I know I got pretty heavy-handed earlier. I just need everybody to understand when I'm sitting in my office and I'm looking at documents that are talking about millions of dollars going back, I see children's faces. I see staff faces. I see the people who could have been serviced, and I think about your house. I think about the things that you could have been doing in your centers. And so Sheree and I have been doing what she called field trips, going out and visiting centers so that we can see for ourselves some of the things that you might think about doing so that you're using and allocating in these resources and actually using them in your house. Everybody carry my voice and say this to whomever is asking. No money should ever go back to the state or the federal government when it was intended for families who are below, who are suffering in poverty. Everybody hear me. We should not be sending money back. We should be figuring out how to use it. I was just talking with Ken really quickly. I love when people are in the room, I can grab them and say, can we do something next week? And he said, yes. So we're going to have an emergency budget meeting, because we need to talk about what's going on with budgets and invoices so we can help you. We want to help you spend your money. Okay, so we will be sending out an email. We'll be saying where we are, and we want people to come. Your fiscal team needs to be there. The people who think program and fiscals are separated, they are not. Program and fiscal need to be sitting together so you can strategize and think about how to use your money. So we are going to get something immediately after we finish. The team has already been told, please find me a face-to-face space so we can be up close and personal and working through some of this with you. I am your partner in this. I want to help you. I want to resolve the issue of underspend. as quickly as we can. Any questions online, Mara? Any more in the room? I know we ran over a little bit. I thank you again. I know every time you're with us, there's a lot of other work that you needed to do. So I thank you, I thank you, I thank you for all you do for every child and family across Chicago. Yes, ma'am. Talk to me. Again, she was asking who could she talk to about the 10% COLA after the meeting. I'm going to be available. I'll be here for a little bit. So thanks, everyone. Take care of yourselves so that you can take care of all the children and families, and have a great weekend. Have a great holiday.